So Canelo has had his voluntary defense, knocked out Amir Khan. Where does Canelo go from here? Does he take the Golovkin fight? Does he avoid that fight? And more to the point, what is his long-term future in the sport of boxing? What's his long-term future in the middleweight division? Which middleweights out there can Canelo Alvarez beat? And how will he do against any of these middleweights? I've already said in previous videos that, in my opinion, Canelo is not a monster in terms of his punching power at middleweight or junior middleweight, but he was just made to look like a monster against Khan because he was fighting a small guy who was chinny. I think against bigger guys, even at 154, people like the Charlo brothers, even someone like Vanez Martirosyan, many of the guys out there. What's that guy now? Who's the southpaw guy that I've made videos about many times? I can't remember his name. The guy that's been out for ages. The guy that fought Brian Rose, the southpaw, big, tall, black guy. What the hell is his name? Demetrius Andrade, or Andre, as he likes to be called. Someone like him. I don't think he'd be knocking those guys out the way he knocked out Amir Khan. And at middleweight, you got people like Billy Joe Saunders. You got Danny Jacobs, Chris Eubank Jr. Now, Danny Jacobs, out of all the middleweights out there, I would say, in terms of punch resistance, he's the most suspect, in my opinion. Okay? Although, some people might say about Peter Quillin as well, and that's maybe fairly valid. Him and Peter Quillin, a little sus around the whiskers. But I still can't see them getting stretched out cold the way Khan was. Maybe the drop from the shot Canelo hit Khan with, but I'm not sure they get stretched out cold. Chris Eubank Jr., Billy Joe Saunders, I like the Billy Joe Saunders Canelo fight. I like that fight. I think Billy Joe Saunders can do good against Canelo Alvarez. I really do. He's nowhere near as big as Alvarez. Don't get it twisted. Even though Alvarez is supposedly coming up from junior middleweight, with all these techniques and what have you that Alvarez uses to get down to 154, 155, believe you me, don't be fooled by all that. He's way bigger than Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe is not a big middleweight at all. But still, Saunders is very slick. He's got good skills. He's a tough guy. He can take a shot. Yeah, I'd like the Billy Joe Saunders Canelo fight. I think that's interesting. Some people have talked about Billy Joe, Chris Eubank Jr. I still think Eubank Jr. needs some more seasoning. But again, I would not expect him to be getting stretched out, unconscious the way Khan did. Not at all. He's a much bigger guy, stronger guy. He's got the physical attributes to be able to do what Khan did, but more effectively. He's obviously not as, fast as Khan or what have you, but he's, taller, longer reach, hits harder, stronger. So, yeah, there are interesting fights out there for Canelo. I don't see Canelo being dominant at 160 pounds. I don't see it. Even if Golovkin wasn't there, I think there are plenty of guys out there at middleweight and junior middleweight who can give Canelo all he can handle. Definitely. And as I say, I already mentioned people like Demetrius Andrade. And, I was mentioning fighters who are not really top tier. People like Vanez Martirosyan and what have you. He's not really top tier. But I think he'd give Canelo, a fairly decent fight. I mean, Martirosyan is not a great fighter, but I still think he'd give Canelo an argument. And Demetrius Andrade, as I say, I think he'd probably beat Canelo. In fact, I think I'd definitely pick him to beat him. Whether he get the decision or not, that's a whole different story. We've already talked about the favoritism that WBC judges seem to have with Canelo Alvarez. So that's the way I see Canelo's future. Even if he don't fight Golovkin. Don't get twisted. Canelo's a good fighter. Okay? I'm not here to bash Canelo and say he's a fraud and this, that, and the other. He's a good fighter. And up until recently, I really liked Canelo Alvarez. But his behavior around GGG, fighting Khan and all these kind of things have kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth about Canelo. But prior to all that, I did actually like him. And I still do like his style, the way he fights. But from my perspective, at least, I don't think he's that good. He's good, but he's not that good. And I don't see him, if he's actually going to go out there and fight all these guys, because he may not even fight all the dangerous opponents. He may be picking and choosing his opposition very carefully for the entirety of his career. You know, it might be a situation like that. And if that's the case, maybe he can stay with only one loss in his record, particularly when he's got those judges in his pocket. Maybe he can stay with only one loss in his record for the rest of his career. But if he's actually going to be properly let off the leash and be put in a position, or maybe through his own choice, is going to actually fight all the top guys around, light middleweight, then I don't see any way that he's not going to pick up more losses. He could even go as high as 168. Again, Canelo is not so much restricted by his weight because he's a massive guy. He's more restricted by his height, I think, because he's only like 5'7", something like that, 5'7.5". He's a short guy, and he's got slow feet. So when you're short and you got slow feet, that's a problem when you're moving up. When you're going up to 168 and you're fighting guys who are, 5'11", 6 foot 6'1", and they got long reaches and they're just as strong as you or stronger, hit just as hard as you or harder, then it becomes a problem. So, if he was a taller guy, it'll probably be better for him. But being as short as he is with slow feet and being a decent puncher, but not particularly concussive for his size, it's an issue. So he may go up as high as 168, but I don't see that in the foreseeable future. Maybe towards the end of his career he'll go up that high. If he's still a marquee name by that point in time, maybe he'll go up even higher than that. Maybe he'll go up to 175. We'll see. But the more his career deteriorates and the more losses he gets, you'll probably see him go up higher and higher, because that's what tends to happen when fighters start accumulating losses and, in a particular division. They just think, let me just go up a division. Yeah, start fresh. So that may happen. You may see him go up, a crazy amount of divisions. But as long as he's still a marquee fighter, I'd be surprised if he goes any higher than 168. And when is he going to fight his first legitimate 160 fight? I mean, people are talking about, Canelo likes to talk about this idea that he's not a real middleweight, which is just so ridiculous. I don't even know where to start with that. Did you see the size of Canelo in the Khan fight? You see the size of his neck? He's like a little Mike Tyson. He's massive. And you guys saying he's not a real middleweight. What complete rubbish. Just think about how ridiculous these catchweights are. The guy's coming into the ring way over 170 pounds, but yet he wants to fight at a catchweight of 155. Why? How does that even make sense? 160 is much more comfortable for you. The only reason he's coming down to 155 is to give himself an excuse for avoiding Triple G. That's all it is. He's going to such great lengths to avoid Golovkin. Anyway, I've gone into that in a different video, but it really just, I haven't seen ducking like that. That going to such extreme lengths to duck somebody. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that ever in boxing. That's extraordinary. But that is what it is. I talked about that before. So yeah, drop your comments in the comment section below, people. Let me know where you see Canelo going in the future. Which guys I've mentioned you think could beat Canelo, give him problems, or maybe you think he can render them all unconscious the way that he did with Khan. Maybe that's something you truly believe. I certainly don't, but maybe you do. Drop it all in the comment section below. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.